Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Working towards the weekend. I'm out of here tomorrow, so really working towards the weekend from my point of view. But still a lot to cover over the next 2 hours. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Another big injury for the Saints. Yesterday, not today. Yesterday, you already know about it. It's Quincy Riley, but we'll talk about the ramifications of that coming up in 15 minutes. The Saints are practicing today against the Los Angeles Rams. And we'll check in with Luke Johnson in an hour and a half right towards the end of the show when they get finished watching everything. I do know from this point that Myles Garrett's not practicing today. I do know Chris Olave is not practicing today. Those are not injuries. They're just holdouts for veterans. So we'll get some information as to what's going on out there in California from Luke Johnson an hour and a half from right now. I was out at LSU's football practice earlier today. I'll give you my report in 30 minutes. We'll go with another round to Meet the Freshmen with Des Ellis and Braden Allen. Lane Kiffin just met with the media. We'll hear from him coming up in hour number 2. So as you can tell, plenty of football to get to. And we'll start with football on our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
So a lot of this was happening yesterday, but I didn't have enough time to digest it to really pour into it on my show. I wanted to take the 22 hours, I guess, between the end of one show and the beginning of the next to really discuss this temporary restraining order that was granted in Louisiana that will allow, right now, for players who have played 4 years of college from the 2022 freshman class that have moved on to the National Football League that could potentially be cut or released to come back and play a 5th year of college football. This is the reality right now. You may like it, you may hate it. It is the reality. So we need to discuss it because it is pertinent to LSU. Lane Kiffin was asked about this about 15, 20, 30 minutes ago, however long ago that was, within the last hour and a half. And he said, I'm not going to comment on it. There are a lot of layers, but he did go on to answer a question saying most often when you're in the middle of a fall camp, you've kind of got who you got. You can't add, and that's not necessarily the case this year. So here are my thoughts on this. We live in a very, very, very confusing and evolving time in collegiate athletics, and they've essentially been turned into professional athletics. It's very lucrative to play football and baseball at the highest level of collegiate sports, and certainly more lucrative than being cut by the National Football League. So it makes sense financially that players who have been potentially cut on September 1st or previous to that would look into going back into college if that's an option to them granted by the courts. My take on it is this. I don't like the precedent that it would set if Yam Madar comes and plays college basketball at 28 years old, having made multiple $1 million overseas. That, to me, just doesn't sit right. They may have deemed it legal. It just doesn't really sit right with me. By the same token, I'm perfectly fine with Michael Ruzick, who LSU has been courting, who's an 18-year-old who has played professionally in Europe, coming over to play collegiate basketball. That does make sense to me. R.J. Lewis's situation, which is similar to Charles Bediako at Alabama, where they forewent a final year of eligibility, final 2 years of eligibility, and went to the professional ranks. Said, all right, I'm leaving college on my own volition. I'm going to the pros. And then the pros don't work out. Well, I kind of want to go back to college. Can I? I don't love that. In this instance with these football players, if you were in college beginning in 2017, 18, 19, or 20, you got an extra year because of COVID. If you started in 21 or 22, you only get the 4 years to play. But if you started in 23, 24, now all of a sudden you do get a 5th year. The courts have ruled that in the 5 for 5. So there's a 2-year window in here over the course of really almost a decade going backwards, where these players didn't get the fifth year. That's just bad luck. And if the precedent that we're moving forward with is that 5 years is the rule, I don't have a problem with these guys exploring this. I'm a case-by-case guy. I'm a case-by-case arbiter. And I don't like R.J. Lewis's case. I don't think it's good. I would not have liked Yamadar's case. I don't blame Will Wade for pursuing it. His job is to win basketball games. It's nothing to do with Will Wade pursuing that at all. I'm glad Will Wade's the head basketball coach at LSU because I know he's going to explore avenues for LSU to win games. And he's not cheating. He's seeing what the rules allow. I'm okay with that. And that's what these guys are doing, seeing what the rules allow. And I am okay with this because if Jack Pyburn was 2 years older or 1 year younger, he would have gotten this fifth year. It's bad luck. And if the 5 for 5 is what we're going with, I don't care that he's been practicing with the Buccaneers. I'm okay with it because he didn't leave on his own volition. He was told, you're out of eligibility. Get on with it. Well, now, guys who play 4 years of college football don't have to do that. So I'm okay with it. And it's my understanding LSU is going to explore this. And I gather that from Lane Kiffin's answer today where he's like, well, I can't really talk about it as complicated. It wasn't like we don't have any room. And the other part and I tell you all this all the time, that's a little bit confusing from our angle as we're analyzing this and prognosticating on this, one, have a hard time keeping up with scholarship numbers. Because some walk-ons have been grandfathered into this new rule where you can have the extended rosters, and then you've got guys that are on significant NIL that maybe aren't getting scholarship, but maybe they are. Like it's just very difficult to keep up from the outside with scholarship numbers. And I also have no earthly idea, none, where LSU is financially according to their threshold. Have they exceeded what they can spend on a roster? Have they bumped up against their cap? Do they have some space? Like, I can go to Spotrac and tell you what the Saints salary cap looks like. You want me to tell you whether or not the Cowboys can add a free agent? I can just look it up. With LSU, I got no idea. So I don't know exactly what their appetite is financially because these guys are not coming back out of the love of football. These guys would be coming back, and there's 16, 17 of them at this point, because it benefits them financially. Because if you make the practice squad, you're a low six-figure guy. You could go back to college and make $1 million. Easy. You get cut, that's zero. That's none dollars. You go back to play at Ole Miss or Texas or LSU or Ohio State, what are we talking? $250K, $500K, $750K, $1 million? Yeah. That's a choice most people would make. Because you know what? $500K, better than zero. $500K, better than the practice squad. So this is an avenue that LSU is going to explore. And let's just take Pyburn because it's obvious this is a place that makes sense for him. Matt Moscona has got a story up on LouisianaSports.net where he has spoken with some sources and has gathered the situation here. Pyburn enjoyed his time at LSU. He's good friends with Whit Weeks. His family has a camp on the Tickfall. He is comfortable with Blake Baker's defense. He knows Prince Wilumanmielen because he played at Florida with Prince Liumanmielen, his older brother. He was a special teams player with Joe Houston, who's now LSU special teams coach. Like, there's a ton of things you can connect that are very public information. And oh, by the way, LSU on the edge, Gabe Relaford out for the year. Damian Shanklin, not with the team. Lamar Brown wasn't at practice today. I don't know the extent of that. He might be back tomorrow. I don't know, but he wasn't practicing today. They're thin at defensive end. Jack Pyburn plays defensive end. So this is not the old days of the NFL where you cut X amount of people this week, and then you play one more preseason game, and you cut another round of people, and then you play the final preseason game, and then you get down to your 53 plus practice squad. This is not that era of the NFL anymore. September 1st, you drop the guillotine, and you keep your roster, and you cut the rest loose. That gives LSU a week before they play Clemson. You want a guy that can contribute against Clemson? Well, it's probably not somebody who's never set foot in Baton Rouge, But somebody that just spent a year here in this defense at that position, who's in game shape from being in an NFL training camp, he could help. And it's at a position of, I would call it a need. Because right now, you've got Prince William-Onmielen, Jordan Ross, and then your second team right now is Dylan Carpenter. And, take your pick of one of the guys who's never played before. Now, Lamar Brown's going to be back. He's not significantly injured, and I would expect him back shortly, but he wouldn't practice today, and Gabe Relaford's not coming back. So, yeah, it would make sense. And there are others that you can absolutely connect dots to, and I did that in a piece at LouisianaSports.net for this morning. You've got a couple of players who played at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin, and they would understand what they're getting into. Daquan White, right, is a tight end who's with Cleveland right now. He made 39 catches for 635 yards and 5 touchdowns for Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weis last year. Could he come in and figure things out pretty quickly right behind Trey'Dez Green? Sure. Xavier Harris, defensive tackle, played at Ole Miss last year. 6'8", 330 pounds. Signed with the Saints, undrafted. Saints cut him. Well, what do I see when I go out to LSU's practices every day? I see 2 true freshmen running around defensive tackle. How about a fifth-year guy that's 6'8", 330, that played in the college football playoff last year, was wrecking Georgia's interior defensive line? That makes some sense. Now, Xavier Harris did say some things about Lane Kiffin and trolling and all that kind of stuff, and we'll flesh that out as it comes. But, yeah, as terms of position of need, in terms of a guy that was involved in the injunction, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. There are running backs available out there. Anthony Hankerson from Oregon State, who's a smaller, shiftier guy. TJ Harden jumped in the suit. He played at SMU last year. He actually played here for UCLA. But he's bigger than everybody LSU's got at running back right now. He's currently with the Seahawks, might not make the team. Like, there are guys in this lawsuit that have been granted an injunction that makes sense for LSU. And I fully support Lane Kiffin and Charlie Glasscock's ability to jump in there and add if you've got roster space and if you've got money available. And I don't know the definitive answer to either one. I would suggest if you're over $40 million in expenditure and one of these guys wants $600,000, it's probably in the couch cushion somewhere. It always has been. But I can't tell you that definitively. There are some things in college sports with eligibility issues that I look at and go, I'm not so sure about this. These guys were unlucky because of their birthday, and I'm okay if they come back and play a fifth year. You're not pulling Pro Bowlers back. You're not pulling 4-year pros back. You're not calling 28-year-old guys back. You're not calling 7th-year players back. You're calling guys who weren't given a COVID year like everybody before them and aren't giving a 5th year like everybody after them. They're in a bad luck spot. And I think it's okay if they want to explore college football for one more year. I promise this is not just an LSU thing. There will be people that watch this video on YouTube. There will be people that are listening right now that go, you're just a homer for LSU. No, I just told you. There are 2 basketball guys I look at and go, that I don't really like. Don't love it. This is not like that. This is rectifying a bad luck situation, and I think the courts will uphold it. I know that was done in Louisiana, but I think it will, and I think LSU will explore it. And it would not surprise me at all if 1 or 2 guys from this lawsuit that have been named that have ties to LSU, whether it's having played here or got people on the staff, that are coming out of that tunnel against Clemson. I think it's a real possibility. So our opening drive, we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Saints have had a lot of injuries. The one that we found out about yesterday really is not good, and we'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, BoudreauxElectrical.com. That's BoudreauxElectrical.com. It is storm season. That makes you nervous because one of those storms crops up there in the Gulf, blows through no matter where you are in the Gulf Coast, and it can knock your power out for an hour, 4 hours, 4 days. We've all been there, right? Give yourself the peace of mind that that's not going to happen to you. Get that Generac home standby generator from Neil Melissa Boudreaux at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. You can call them, 985-397-1562 or 225-300-9389. Maybe you've just never given it sincere thought. You're thinking, I'd just like to learn more about it. Let them come out. Let them get you a quote. They can do it really quickly. And you can know what it would cost for the peace of mind to know that if your power goes out, it comes right back on. AC's working, refrigerator and freezer working, television working. We like all that. Lights are good too. That Generac home standby generator can make it happen for you. Go online and reach out at boudreauselectrical.com. It's Boudreau's Electrical Services online at boudreauselectrical.com.
When a capital project moves from planning to execution, downtime isn't an option. Who do you trust to deliver? River Parish Contractors has more than 500 employees, dedicated safety, quality, and project management teams, and 9 full-time estimators backed by a 36,000 square foot automated pipe and structural steel fabrication facility. We can deliver multi-million-dollar industrial construction projects on time and safely. Locally owned and headquartered in South Louisiana. We're River Parish Contractors, and we're built for bigger challenges.
Raising Cane's Texas Toast is a thick slice of bread, garlic buttered spread, grilled to golden perfection, and made to order just for you. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
Are you ready for an internet experience that actually keeps up with you? Then you're ready to step into a new kind of reliability with Rev Fiber. When your internet works, the possibilities open up, and suddenly everything feels more connected, just the way it should be. Seamless enough to keep up with every swipe and every click, anywhere you are. So leave the buffering behind. 100% fiber, 0% runaround, where support is still personal. Rev Fiber. Visit revfiber.com.
The experts at Hood Dental Care want you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays. A $376 value. With over 3,000 five-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care. Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And we always have other great giveaways for new patients. Check out hooddentalcare.com and schedule your appointment today.
People ask why I chose to partner with Parrish. The answer is simple: trust. Whether you're choosing teammates, business partners, or the people working on your home or business.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You see a crack in that bathtub, you see a crack in that shower, don't just ignore it. I know it's small, it looks insignificant, and it might be, but it might not be. Because if water gets through there into places it is not supposed to be, you could have serious issues. David sees it all the time. So if you see a crack in that shower, crack in that tub, call One Bath and Closets. Let David come out, because the last thing you want is to kick that can down the road, even if it doesn't crack worse, for 5, 6 months, 7 months, and all of a sudden you've got mold, you've got water getting places you don't want it, you've got rotting, and it becomes a massive job from a small crack. David warned me about this when we sat down last time. He said, I see this all the time. People just see something, a small imperfection, they don't think twice about it. You need to. So if you see something in your bathroom that doesn't look quite right, contact the professionals. David's been at this for more than 3 decades. He can help you make that fix and perhaps do some renovating in the process. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online and get that free consultation with David Duvall at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com. All right, Saints are on the practice field right now as we speak. We'll talk to Luke Johnson in an hour and 10 minutes about today's workout with the Rams, which I think is really a great thing for the Saints to get into, because that's one of the best rosters in the NFL. But we'll do it without a starting cornerback. Quincy Riley has injured his groin. Kellen Moore talked about it yesterday, and the question was asked, hey, is this something that could linger into the season? And Kellen said, I don't know, we'll see. So that's non-committal, and I would expect that from Kellen Moore, but it certainly wasn't no shot. We expect him back on Saturday. So that's bad. It's just bad because Quincy Riley is potentially one of the young cornerstones of this defense. He and Kool-Aid McKinstry, by all accounts, have just been awesome in this camp. And that's great. That's a great thing. And a groin injury doesn't mean he wasn't playing great and hasn't improved and can't be a future star. But, like, just think about this. I know most of you can't relate, myself very much included, with trying to turn and run with an NFL wide receiver or close on an out route. But a groin injury, not ideal for that job performance. And so for that to potentially be a 3 or 4 week deal is a tough thing. And you continue to get these soft tissue injuries day after day after day with the Saints. And this one is so disappointing because of how well he was coming on. You look at what's behind Quincy Riley, and Martin Emerson Jr. immediately kind of is thrust into that spot. And the good news is that Martin Emerson Jr. is still a very young player. I would call him a veteran in the league. He's 3 years in, but he's 25 years old. He's a fourth-year pro. And he's done a good job. Now, that's a guy you were relying on for depth, not as a starting piece, but he will step in there and be the corner opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry. And then you're relying on some guys like Isaac Yiadom, obviously, who can step in and play. TJ Hall, Dallas Beanham. It drops off pretty quick, is the point I'm saying, after Isaac Yiadom, who is really best used as an emergency defensive back and a special teams player. So I can say two things at one time. One, this is a tough thing in terms of getting reps and the Saints being at their best at corner because he's not able to go out there and work. You do develop a little bit of depth. You get some good reps for Martin Emerson, who I'm sure is out there right now running around with some really good wide receivers for the Rams. And he's a fourth-year pro, and he's shown he can play at this level. And so you do take a dip, and your depth is obviously hurt. But I think the bigger thing for me is you got to get this guy healthy, and this is a guy who needs to be a cornerstone of what you're doing moving forward. Defense in the National Football League is so much easier to call and play if you trust your two corners to do their job. If you don't feel like you've got to help those guys and baby those guys and shade linebackers and shade nickels and shade safeties and take numbers away from the football to deal with space, you can really do something defensively. And the Saints have had that over the years. But you've got to go back like 3-4 years when that was really the case. And they did such a great job under Dennis Allen of cultivating that defensive backfield. And Lattimore was obviously the cornerstone of that. But you also had other players that you really trusted at corner. And I think part of that is why the Saints were so good defending the run for so long, because you had extra numbers to put in the middle of the field. And I think that there may not be a position that I've gotten reports on, beyond Chase Young, who's obviously dominated day in and day out. There may not be a position I've gotten more positive reports from Luke Johnson, from Sharif Ishak, from Cat Terrell, from Ross Jackson, from Sean Fassan, from all the people we talked to. There may not have been a position that was talked about more highly than cornerback. Those guys are making plays on the ball every day. They're getting their hands on interceptions. They're breaking passes up. They have been a tag team out there on the Saints wide receiving core. And that's really exciting until you realize Quincy Riley can't be out there. So this is, to me, a completely different soft tissue month-long absence than Cam Jordan and Alvin Kamara. Those guys don't need reps. Those guys are reserve players. They are legends in the franchise. But they're ancillary pieces to this team. Quincy Riley is not a legend in the franchise, long way from it. But he is potentially an elite player on this team. We talk about raising the ceiling for the Saints. How do you get from, okay, we're the dregs of the league, which the Saints were early in the season 2 years ago and early in the season last year, you were among the worst 7 or 8 teams in the league. Fair? Of course. How do you get from that to being very hopeful? Well, you put some young guys on the field and they perform. How do you get from hopeful to being a reality that you're a really good team. Well, those young guys have to emerge as Pro Bowl level players. Those young guys have to emerge as number one level players. And Quincy Riley is on the short list of dudes who look at this year can make that jump. No question. It's him. It's Kelvin Banks. It's Jordan Tyson, unfortunately. These are the guys that can make that jump realistically. And right now, that jump is being stunted in the training room. And that sucks. It just sucks. There's not a lot you can do. There's just not. You look across the NFL, guys are going down every single day. It just is what it is in this sport this time of year. But there are some guys that you would prefer to keep on the field. And while I love Cam Jordan and love Alvin Kamara and do see a role for them on this team, they're down the pecking order here. Quincy Riley is not. So hopefully this is a minor groin issue. That treatment is great. The rest helps him out, and he's out there for week 1. But right now, you're looking at a situation where it might be doubtful that Cam Jordan and Jordan Tyson and Quincy Riley are out there for week 1. Now, doubtful that Alvin Kamara is out there for week 1. I mean, how much more of this can you take? You're supposed to be your healthiest in August and early September. And the Saints are already taking on a little bit of water. It's not a crisis right now. You don't play for 3.5 weeks. But it's disappointing that this continues to happen, and you hope that things clean up pretty quickly. I'll say this in conclusion because that's a cold water segment in a really exciting time of year. I think, let me say this carefully, I think it's a good thing that I'm so upset about this Quincy Riley small injury issue because of how exciting a player he might be, right? If he was just a draft pick from last year who hadn't really shown anything and he limped off the practice field and whatever, I'd be like, well, Quincy Riley's not out there, whatever. But instead, like he's making that jump. He's becoming the starting corner that you love to find in those early to mid rounds. And now he's sidelined, but that hope is what creates that reaction. Hopefully, this is not something that lasts and lingers. Hopefully, it's something that is cleaned up pretty quickly, and he's out there sooner rather than later and shows himself to be a true lockdown corner in this league and somebody that this new iteration of the Saints defense, post DeMario, post Cam, post Tyron, post Lattimore, post those guys, is one of the best players on the field. That's the hope. We'll talk to Luke Johnson coming up in an hour. He's watching right now as the Saints take on the Rams. Bummer news, Jordan. Bummer news on Quincy Riley.
It's bummer news, but I will say to have a guy like Martin Emerson to be the next guy up for that spot, it's not the end of the world.
Young veterans are good to have.
Yeah, most definitely. And, he showed flashes against the Jaguars. So it's like, all right, so this is what he does against low-level competition. So he can hang. So that's a good sign. It's not good to lose Quincy Riley, especially when your first 2 weeks, you got the Lions with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. You would like to have, you like to have your guys out there for that. Or, the Ravens with Zay Flowers and Jacoby Lane.
You want to go run with Jamison Williams on a bum groin?
No. I mean, his groin's going to fall off his body.
Not ideal.
Yeah. So it sucks that, especially with a soft tissue injury like that, that doesn't just heal.
You got to take time.
When you got to play football. Like, it's always going to be a lingering issue throughout the season until he can get to the offseason and really heal. So that's not good, especially at a position with the cornerback where you have to move with all pro, all level athletes on the other side of the ball. But I will say now you're looking at who's going to step up. I'm already counting out Yadam. I'm already out on Yadam, so I'm not worried about Yadam. But
okay.
yeah, I'm out on him.
He's probably next.
Yeah, but Emerson and Jaden Price shows a little bit in the slot.
He did.
Maybe Sinker can. I know he's not a cornerback. Sinker can hold it down, and maybe you can bump Price out there or whatnot. But
I can't speak because I didn't see every tweet. I don't know exactly who's practicing for the Rams today. I know Myles Garrett is not, which doesn't affect this conversation. But if those wide receivers are out there,
Puka and
you'll get a look pretty quick at who's ready to play. So we'll see.
They better be ready to play because you got it week 1.
We'll talk to Luke Johnson in 1 hour. When we come back, I was out on the Ponderosa watching LSU practice today. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, LifetimeRoofingLA.com, LifetimeRoofingLA.com. Maybe you know that something's not quite right with your roof, that rain comes down and you feel like there's maybe some damage. Maybe you're just not sure and you want someone to go up there and check it out. You want to go with someone you can trust. In Lifetime Roofing, you can trust. There are so many roofers that will go up there and they'll just try to sell you their most expensive product, and that, of course, is a new roof. But that may not be what's necessary. It may just be a repair. Lifetime Roofing can handle that. It may be a fortification. Maybe there's a little bit of wear and tear on your roof, but you can fortify it, strengthen it with that tune-up so that it's ready to withstand the weather that we've got down here, which is heavy afternoon rains and, of course, hurricanes when they show up. And maybe you do need a new roof. And if you do, Lifetime Roofing can help you with all of that as well. Financing options are available. 0% for 18 months. They can help you with it. And also, they are so proud to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. So when you're thinking about that new roof, or you're thinking you want someone to go inspect that roof of yours, Lifetime Roofing with that lifetime workmanship warranty. They're online at lifetimeroofing.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new Ram 1500 truck on our lot now with $22,000 off MSRP.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
I've been in banking for over 35 years. I usually start about 7:30 in the morning, and I usually leave somewhere around 5, or if customers need me to meet them at their house or their business places, I don't mind going after hours. I have done churches, subdivisions, retail centers, hospitals, and nursing homes. And that's why we chose to live in this community, because of the values First American Bank has, that I can serve my community and my customers.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. Great spot to get a membership. Always wanted to be a member at a golf club. Swing Easy Golf Club, right there for you. Stop on by before work, stop on by on your lunch break, right after work, on the weekends, Friday nights. It's a great place to socialize, great place to work on your golf game, great place. And the membership will give you some opportunities to get some hours complimentary monthly there at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can also get a corporate membership if you want to entertain clients there. You can absolutely do it. It's a heck of a time. Got cold beers, seltzers, wine right there up front. They've got comfortable seating, private bays. You can play some golf at Pebble Beach or Cypress Point or Bethpage Black or St. Andrews and just have some fun. The weekend's coming up. Want to make a night of a Friday night with some golf? You can play golf at 8 o'clock p.m. Can't do that out on the golf course. You can do it at Swing Easy Golf Club just a cool place to hang out. I've loved all the time that we've spent over at Swing Easy Golf Club. I know our Guarantee Sales team has spent some time there. I've certainly spent a good amount of time there. If you've never checked it out, do so. It's right there on Segan at Perkins. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. They're online at swingeasygcbr.com. All right, I was out at practice earlier today. Myself and Matt Moscona took our normal shift. I took the offense. He took the defense over at practice. And LSU was in shells today. They're very, very deliberate with when they're physical and when they lighten things up, when they get a day off, when they practice in the morning, when they practice in the evening. And today was a shells day as they kind of ramp things up to a Saturday scrimmage. As far as absences today, Lamar Brown was not present. Matt Moscona is reporting over at LouisianaSports.net that the big freshman defensive end suffered a leg injury during Tuesday's practice. He's expected to miss a little bit of time. I don't think Matt's calling for a significant absence here in any way, but we didn't see him at practice today. He was the only notable absence other than Ed Ogeron, who was still not rejoined the team. Back in action is a segment I kind of like a little bit more than the guys that were missing. Malik Blockton was not there participating on Tuesday. He was a full go on Thursday. DJ Pickett was in gold. He is now a full go as of today in his purple jersey. Jordan Ross was in purple back on Tuesday at defensive end. He was a full go today. And then Harlem Berry, who missed a practice and then was off to the side riding the stationary bike on Tuesday, he was back a full participant today. So DJ Pickett, Malik Blockton, Jordan Ross, and Harlem Berry all back today. We looked at the offensive line a little bit today, and I've told y'all this. We have not seen a first team, a second team, a third team, 5 at a time. What we see is the left half of the offensive line working together, and then over 20 yards to the right side of the offensive line working together. And so you take note of who's working with who as opposed to seeing, well, that's the first 5 and that's the second 5. You just look at who's working at guard and tackle together, who's working at center and guard together. Those are the types of things you look at. And we saw today that Ryan Moret was working on sleds at center. He's from South Florida, former Ole Miss commitment, who's a true freshman who they've really liked at center in this fall camp. He was working as a center when they were working the left side of the line. Next to him was William Satterwhite, who was a backup center at Tennessee last year, and I believed to be the backup center now. But what's interesting is we've seen Satterwhite work at center, guard today, and he's worked at tackle as well. And he was working at left guard today next to Moret, and next to them was Bryson Martinez. We did him in Meet the Freshman. Of course, he's from EA right down the road, and they love Bryson Martinez. He's a great athlete, a guy that EA used to snap the ball to, throw it to, hand it to, and he's at 6'5" and 300 pounds. He's just a great athlete. So that was an interesting left side of the backup offensive line. Looks like they're really working Satterwhite at some different places with his versatility, and it's very possible that Bryson Martinez is the left tackle of the future. Jordan Seaton's got 1 year here, and Martinez might be the next guy up, so he's getting some snaps from in that spot. On the passing game, I'm ready to make a declaration here. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's just what I believe from watching practice. We've seen, 9 or 10 of them. I think Trey Wilson from Florida is going to be a starting wide receiver on this team. And you might say, well, he was a 5-star recruit. He was really good at Florida's freshman All-American who was lit up Georgia last year. Duh. And okay, I got you. I understand. But there's 12 guys out there that are new, and none of them to me look like Jamar Chase. I don't see Malik Neighbors out there. I see guys that I think are towards the top. I see guys that I think are towards the bottom. And I would have always told you that Trey Wilson was toward the top. But right now, if you made me say, okay, give me 2 guys, top 2 guys at wide receiver, I would say Jace Brown and Trey Wilson. I'm not here to discount Jackson Harris from Hawaii. I think he's going to play. I'm not here to discount Winnie Watkins. He made a really nice catch on a goal line route today. I think he's going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if Trey Brown, the Old Dominion transfer, got in there and got some snaps. I like Phillip Wright's athleticism and explosion. No question. Malik Elzy runs second in a lot of drills and has a physical body, and I know the staff likes him. There are a lot of guys that are going to play. But if you made me right now go, okay, give me the top 2. Give me 2. I'm going Jace Brown from Kansas State, Trey Wilson from Florida. I've just seen so much of him working first on one side of the field. I noticed that he and Sam Levitt talk a lot I'm reading context clues. This is what I have to do if they don't let us watch 7-on-7 and they don't let us watch 11-on-11, which, by the way, as I've said, that's Lane's prerogative. I'm good with it, but this is what I get to look at. So I'm looking at quarterback engagement with players. And if Sam Leavitt thinks a guy's running ninth at wide receiver, I don't think he's going to spend a lot of time with him. There's not enough time to go do that. He's trying to learn an offense, learn a receiving core, all from scratch with no spring football. I'm working with the guys who are going to be out there. And I think that Trey Wilson is one of those guys. And when I noticed this back to the spring, he is so explosive in and out of breaks. He's so shifty and so quick. There's a reason why a 5'11" wide receiver is a 5-star recruit. And it's not because he looks like Randy Moss out there. It's because he's got some attributes that are elite. And the quickness and change of direction from Trey Wilson is that. So I liked what I saw from Trey Wilson today, and I'm ready to make that proclamation. As far as some of the other things in the passing game, they got the quarterbacks off platform a little bit today, more than we've seen at all in fall camp. We saw Sam Leavitt rolling right hard. We saw Sam Leavitt rolling left hard. A lot of it was done in the red zone and goal line areas. Again, he's not full sprint. He's not stopping and starting. He's not juking linebackers. He's not beating anybody to the edge. He's rolling out. And I'm not here to give you a bill of goods. That's not true. I'm telling you exactly what we see. He looks healthy. And I don't have any reason to doubt it. But when we see something, I'm going to say something. It is kind of the gig on the radio. So Leavitt looked very comfortable moving to his left, looked very comfortable moving to his right. He's full speed out there, and that's a very good thing. Here's something just to file away. I have mentioned it. I think it was last week, perhaps the second week of fall camp, but I think I've mentioned it. They work on an inordinate amount of back shoulder throws, like a ton. And today, inside the 5-yard line and the goal line, we saw a lot of back shoulder throws, including some to Trey'Dez Green. I don't know if that's the guy that I want to throw back shoulders to. I'm just throwing him alley-oops. But they did work a lot on back shoulders. They do that with Trey Wilson. They do that with Jace Brown. They're going to throw back shoulders. And there's two things with back shoulder throws. One, they're very difficult. One, to throw and to defend. Two, they can be very susceptible to the interception if the corner gets his head around. You're betting the corner doesn't get his head around. And it takes some time to get that rapport to be able to throw that back shoulder, right? I don't think, Breeze and Colston had a lot of trouble year 5 knocking down the back shoulder throw on the seam route. But right now, Sam Leavitt is still learning these guys, and they rep back shoulders down the rail. They rep back shoulders in the end zone to the pylon. They rep these things constantly. And I think you're going to see a lot of back shoulder throws from this offense. I think that's something they really think they can do that's effective against a lot of defenses, especially college defenders that are not as good at getting their head around as pro corners like we watch on Sundays. You just see it a lot. So that was kind of my synopsis of today out there on the Ponderosa. Good from a health perspective. The only guy missing that has been there all fall is Lamar Brown. Lane Kiffin was not asked about Lamar Brown today, so I don't have an update on that. But they're getting through camp in a positive light, and we'll hear from Lane Kiffin in hour number 2. He really likes the way Sam Leavitt's playing. He really likes the way that the offensive line's first team is playing. Depth is a bit of a concern. But we'll hear a little bit more from Lane Kiffin coming up in hour number 2, but that's my thought on practice. If you like to read our practice report, you can always do that over at LouisianaSports.net. Is there for free. Myself and Matt Moscona put those together every time we're allowed to go out there. I'm going to head out for the weekend right before football season here, so Matt will handle things Friday and Saturday from that perspective. But every time there's a practice, we got you covered over at LouisianaSports.net for free. You can read it on the homepage. And Ross Jackson's out in California handling the Saints. If you want to check that out, you can do that as well at LouisianaSports.net. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll meet the freshmen. 2 more next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. Awesome deals on trucks. I'm not going to stop telling you about them until those deals are gone, and that is September 1st. So you still got a little time, but get on by and see them. Want a 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500? 0% APR financing for 5 years plus no monthly payments for 90 days. That's now until August 31st. And 2026 GMC Sierra 1500s, 2.9 APR financing for 72 months, plus an additional $1,500 in allowance. That's now until August 31st. Great selection of pre-owned vehicles that are going to fit any budget. So if you need a new ride, maybe your lease is about to be up, maybe your car is at its bare end, or maybe you just want a new ride, Fabry Chevrolet GMC is happy to help you out with that. Check out the inventory on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or check them out online at fabrychevrolet.com.
I'm Billy Schmidt, and I've been with First American Bank for 13 years. I have a passion of getting to know customers, getting to know their journeys, getting to know their stories, and being a small part of that, and just continuing that, and taking those relationships and expanding out into the community, just to make First American a household name. And people look at us and say, hey, what's special about you guys? You're part of a family.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us this Wednesday for AFR from Marucci's Hitter's House on Segan Lane in Baton Rouge. Come take some hacks in the cages with the best bats in the world, the official bat of Major League Baseball. It's at Marucci's Hitter's House in Baton Rouge. As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford has 0% APR with no payments for 90 days and $1,000 down payment assistance on select 2026 Ford models.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience, or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Sagrera Farms brings you our Thursday shows every single week. Some of the best beef in the country, and it's right here just north of Baton Rouge in the 225 area code. All you got to do is call Sean. He's at 225-719-1723. Again, that's 225-719-1723. Go up and see the farm. Say, hey, I got a text from someone this week. Said I went to the farm, picked up half a cow, just thrilled with it. Got that this week. Not the first time I've gotten that text message, but you won't know unless you go change the way you buy your beef. You want prime Angus beef for all your ground beef? Think of how often you use that. For steaks, football season's coming up. You want ribeyes, strips on the grill. You want fillets on the grill. You want the best. Sagrera Farms has got it. You just got to go see Sean. It's a process that he has mastered over the course of a decade. And every cow on that farm is a 3-year journey. Genetics, and then you're raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged 45 days, the marbling, the tenderness, the flavor. It's second to none. You can get Sagrera Farms beef 2 places. Supper Club or Sagrera Farms. That's it. So call Sean, 225-719-1723. 1723. Say, hey, I heard Hunt talking about you. I want to come see. You won't regret it. And if you don't like it, you don't pay for it. It's awesome. Segura Farms Premium Angus Beef. All right, let's meet the freshmen.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen, meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
This first one just screams Corey Raymond. Des Ellis from Winsboro, Louisiana, played at Franklin Parish, is a 3-star cornerback in this class. He was 3 stars by Rivals, 3 stars by ESPN. 24/7 threw a 4-star on him, said he was the number 10 player in the state of Louisiana, but only 24/7, who thinks the most of Ellis, had him as the number 218 player in the country. So not a high-profile recruit, but he's 6'2", 185. He did everything for Franklin Parish, played quarterback, great athlete, great reach, and a guy that Corey Raymond feels like he can coach. And so you bring him into the boat. And I think that this is the kind of guy that's not going to help you in year one. He's not going to challenge DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland for playing time. He's not going to beat out Jakeem Jackson. But you give him some time, and you let Corey Raymond work with him. This is a guy that threw for 2,400 yards and 26 touchdowns as a sophomore in high school. As a junior, he threw for 2,100 yards and 31 touchdowns. He ran for almost 900 yards and 10 scores. He's a great athlete with the attributes that Corey wants. And that is a guy that I trust Corey Raymond implicitly to mold into a good player over time. It's going to take time. He's going to learn how to backpedal, how to use his hands, how to flip his hips, how to play the ball. But that's what Corey's the best at. So this is a guy that makes a ton of sense to me. If you're looking at this team, does he help? Probably not. If you're looking at the future, okay, that's a guy you can bet on with Corey Raymond. So Des Ellis, our first freshman of the day. And the second one's Braden Allen. And this is another one who's not going to be the most highly coveted player on the board for LSU. You're talking about 24/7 called him a 3-star, number 19 player in Louisiana. ESPN called him a 3-star, number 24 player in Louisiana, 93rd best wide receiver. Now, Rivals liked him a little bit more, called him number 33 wide receiver and a 4-star, but not a guy that is going to, do huge numbers for you on the recruiting rankings. But he's 6'1", and he's a guy that Lane Kiffin identified out of the state of Louisiana that he wanted. Now, LSU's previous staff was not interested. But when Lane Kiffin got the job, you saw Braden Allen decommit from Oklahoma, and then all of a sudden, he's committed to LSU. And Lane Kiffin and his staff believe in their evaluation. And it's a guy that they wanted at Ole Miss, and now they bring him in from Lafayette Christian Academy to LSU. Comes from 2A, obviously, but was a really, really productive player at the high school level. As a senior, had 11 touchdown catches, 740 yards, and he also played defense, made 34 tackles, had a couple of picks, had a pick 6 and a punt return touchdown as a senior. Good athlete, good size, and again, not a guy that is going to necessarily impact this team. They got so many guys at wide receiver that are older. Jace Brown, Trey Wilson, Jackson Harris. The list goes on and on. Malik Elsey's old. You're not going to count on freshman receivers on this team. But I trust Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock to make it work, to go find guys that they think fit their system that had the attributes they're looking for. And they identified Brandon Allen with Corey Barber as the 2 receivers they wanted in this class. So Louisiana kid, both of them, Des Ellis and Braden Allen, not guys that are going to be 5-star recruits, but guys that are from Louisiana that perhaps you've got a better chance to keep around even if they don't play as freshmen, which is something you got to consider. And guys that the position coaches and decision makers identified traits and characteristics in that they think make sense for this program. And I like that a lot. I like having some guys from Louisiana on this roster. I realize it's not what it once was in terms of having Louisiana guys, because you can just go get Jordan Seaton and Ty Benefield, and you can go get, TJ Dottery and go find Dylan Jones. And yeah, I got you. You don't need the state of Louisiana all the time. Jace Brown's not from Louisiana, neither is Trey Wilson. None of those wide receivers. Winnie Watkins isn't from Louisiana. It's good to have a little bit of that, especially some guys that are a little bit off the radar, because we know that those guys oftentimes turn into really productive players in Baton Rouge. So that's Meet the Freshman today, Des Ellis and Braden Allen. Taylor Sharp will be sitting in for me tomorrow, and he'll keep that rolling on tomorrow's show as we continue to knock off every freshman in this signing class for LSU in our series. That's it for hour number one. It's a busy hour number one. At the top of the show, I talked about the new hot button here with LSU and with college football is these players filing for that injunction and getting that temporary restraining order that allows them to play a fifth year of college football. What does that mean for LSU? What does it mean for Jack Pyburn? Are there guys that played at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin that might be interested in coming to LSU, and does it make sense to add them? I talked about that at the top of the show. You can find that wherever you find your podcast at Hunt on LSU. Quincy Riley's hurt for the Saints. That's a huge bummer. I talked about that. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. A practice report from today out of the Ponderosa. You can listen to that on demand, or you can read about it at louisianasports.net. That's hour number one here. Busy hour number two. We'll hear from Lane Kiffin, some quotes from him today. As he talked about his quarterbacks. He talked about defensive line. Also talked about Charlie Weiss at length and what he brings to this staff. So we'll hear from him coming up, and Luke Johnson in 35 minutes from the Saints practice with the Rams out in California. We'll pause for SportsCenter, national headlines. We'll come back with hour two, Thursday edition Hunt Palmer.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power. They're online at GoTrosOnline.com, and you can go there, and you'll see their incredible inventory, and you'll see the great deals that they have. But I'd just advise you to stop on by, because right now they're running their end-of-summer clearance sale, and it is worth seeing. Because if you stop by, there are two locations, one on Airline in Baton Rouge or one in Gonzales, you'll see up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero-turn mowers. Again, that's up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero-turn mowers. Need financing? They got it at 0%. You can't do any better than that. Of course, GoTro's the National Hustler Deal of the Year 2 of the last 3 years, and if you're looking for an extended warranty, they've got one. They're the warrantor. You can add 2 years or 200 hours to the manufacturer's warranty if you talk to my friends at GoTro's Outdoor Power. 2 locations, Airline in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. GoTro's Outdoor Power. They're online at GoTrosOnline.com.
People think it's all about game day. Let's go! But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
Extra reps.
And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FMOL Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
So we can do what we do best.
We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
People ask why I chose to partner with Parrish. The answer is simple: trust. Whether you're choosing teammates, business partners, or the people working on your home or business, choose a company you know and trust. Visit parrishbuilt.com.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
Are you ready for an internet experience that actually keeps up with you? Then you're ready to step into a new kind of reliability with Rev Fiber. When your internet works, the possibilities open up, and suddenly everything feels more connected, just the way it should be. Seamless enough to keep up with every swipe and every click, anywhere you are. So leave the buffering behind. 100% fiber, 0% runaround, where support is still personal. Rev Fiber. Visit revfiber.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's back to Cleveland for James Harden. The free agent guard agreed to a new 3-year, $97 million contract to return to the Cavaliers. Includes a player option for the 2028-2029 NBA season and a trade kicker. With the deal, Harden will become the fourth player in league history to pass the $500 million career earnings mark. Buccaneers defensive tackle Vita Vea signed his new deal today. So what does this mean for quarterback Baker Mayfield, who is looking for a new contract of his own? ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
I think the issue to Baker is that if you're a franchise player, you deserve more than a 2-year extension. I don't know that Tampa would or wouldn't be willing to offer a 3rd year or 4th year, and I don't know that it matters. It feels like Baker is perfectly content shutting it down, playing out the season, facing the prospect of being franchised after the season, and seeing where it goes.
Lions tight end Sam Laporta's status for Week 1 remains unclear due to a hip injury. Oklahoma football coach Brent Venables agreed to a new 6-year contract. It's expected to average more than $10.5 million per season.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Friday, the Raiders have questions about who should be their starter, but I'll tell you why I think it would be a huge mistake for them to play Fernando Mendoza too quickly. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging with us, working towards the weekend. I only got 1 hour left here before we're out of here tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday, and won't be taking another day off until into the bye week. So looking forward to this hour, looking forward to the weekend to come, and looking forward to getting back Monday, getting ever so closer to football season. Lane Kiffin spoke with the media earlier today and talked a lot about Charlie Weis Jr. I'll say this before we get into Lane's quotes. If you had come to me this date last year, end of August last year, and said, what do you think about Charlie Weis Jr.? I'd have said, okay, I know his dad. I know he's the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, and that's Lane's offense. I've watched it for a long time, pre-Charlie Weis. And so I think he's probably just kind of a guy that Lane trusts and probably fine. Like, I didn't have a lot of respect for Charlie Weis. And I don't say that to suggest that Charlie Weis needs to earn my respect as the Baton Rouge mid-afternoon radio host. I mean that as like, I just didn't have really a sense of like what Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator did. Like, what does Nick Saban's defensive coordinator do? I was begging Alabama to hire Kirby Smart when Nick Saban eventually retired because he'd never been a head coach. Like, well, yeah, just assume that the guy that runs Saban's defense is going to come in and sustain that. Okay. Turns out Kirby was pretty good. But you never know when the head coach has such an impact on one side of the ball, how that next guy up is going to perform. And I don't know how good Charlie Weis is going to be as a head coach. He's going to get a chance. But I didn't have really a sense at all of how important Charlie Weis was or was not to what Ole Miss was doing on offense. But it became evident when Lane started, the rumor started bubbling up that he might come to Baton Rouge. And I talked to a lot of people that cover Ole Miss. And they were pretty adamant that Charlie Weis was considered a pretty vital cog in what was going on over there. And that was before they knew whether or not Charlie Weis would be in Baton Rouge. And certainly when you realize that he's coming back during the playoff to call the plays while Lane Kiffin's gone, he has called the plays. I didn't even know Charlie Weis called the plays. I just assumed Lane Kiffin called the plays. We all see him running down the sideline, throwing up the touchdown deal. He's got the play sheet in his hands. Like I just assumed Lane Kiffin called all the plays. Not so. Charlie Weis calls the plays. And now that Charlie Weis has come to Baton Rouge, and we've heard the players talk about him, we've heard Lane Kiffin talk about him at length, you understand how much Lane Kiffin trusts Charlie Weis and just how important he is. Now, I'm not here suggesting that when Charlie Weis leaves, which is going to happen relatively quickly, that the offense is just going to fall flat. No, Lane Kiffin runs the offense. He knows the offense. He's a savant on the offense. He will figure out the offense moving forward with a new coordinator. But it stands to reason that Charlie Weis is a pretty important cog in what's going on here. And Kiffin started talking about their journey together when he met Charlie Weis and kind of how this whole thing came together.
You know, he was brought to our attention. There was a guy named Eric Keesaw that had been at when we were at Alabama, that had been at Kansas with Charlie's dad, and Charlie was just a probably student on the staff hanging around and helping out at Kansas, and he just said, hey, I think you'd really like this guy. We had a spot open. The guy's a genius, and I just think you'd really love finding this guy at this age. And came on an interview and did great. You know, I've told the story before, the photographic memory, you know, that I was told about, and I challenged it with an ID and credit card at dinner, and then brought it up the next day, and he could remember all of it. And so it's just been a really cool story, and, you know, him and I talk all the time about some things you think are bad or good, and some things you think are good or bad. If you reserve judgment, eventually they may be opposite of what you think. So we've had where he's left me. I actually brought him to FAU with me, and then he left after a couple weeks and went with Sark to the Falcons, and I brought him back, and then in a way I left him. I didn't bring him to Ole Miss. His wife holds that against me at times. But it all worked out, and then we brought him back, and almost lost him again in this last transition, and so really cool that came back to us.
Yeah, look, Charlie Weis was seriously considering staying in Oxford and running Pete Golding's offense. I think that's obvious because it was reported he got a $2 million deal, and then all of a sudden went, 2.5. They found another $500,000 to keep Charlie Weis right here in Baton Rouge. One of the things you notice when you got to practice is that Lane Kiffin is always around the passing game. He doesn't say a lot. He walks around a lot. He keeps a small little notepad and writes some things down. He's observing, but Charlie Weis is doing a lot of the coaching. He's the one in the ears of the quarterbacks, drill in and drill out. And you got Dane Stevens out there who's absolutely doing some of that as well. But Charlie Weis is running these drills. And Lane Kiffin spoke about Weis's ability with quarterbacks.
As we talked about the other day, his stats are amazing, and his ability to coach the quarterbacks. And I think this quarterback's going to play really well. And if he does, at some point people got to say, okay, what's the common denominator here of these last three quarterbacks? And I would say they're Charlie.
I tend to lean on that. When I get asked about Sam Leavitt, which is every single interview that I do, Chuck Oliver, Clemson, SEC Unfiltered, like wherever I go and I hear and I'm asked about quarterbacks and I'm asked about LSU, I'm asked about the quarterbacks. And my default is I think Leavitt is pretty good. I think he had a pretty good go at Arizona State. And I think that Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weis Jr. know how to facilitate an offense through the quarterback. They're not all the same, but the production is always really good. And that's what I'm going to default to with this team until I see something different. Now, Lane and Charlie Weis have a similarity. It's obvious. Monty Kiffin and Charlie Weis Sr. They're sons of coaches who were very, very, very accomplished in the sport. And Lane talked about that kind of bond that ties them together.
Yeah, I think that is. I think having both grown up in it and really successful fathers that are very, public figure coaches, I feel like, that were known well as we grew up, I think is a common thing that we have together. And I think, too, it's been cool of walking him through where, in a way, he's a younger version of me in some ways, being so young with so much success, that mistakes that I made or balance things maybe that I would try to change. I don't know if I can, but I would try to change that back then, that I'm able to discuss with him. And we talk a lot about that. So it's been really good.
And the interesting thing about this staff that Lane's kind of put together is that there's a lot of youth. Like Charlie Weis is 33 years old. He's 33. That is really young. Like Kevin Smith is a young coach. Y'all remember, most of you remember him playing. There's youth. Blake Baker's only 44. But you've got, like, Corey Raymond is older. He's not in his 70s, but he's older than those guys. Eric Wolford is older than those guys. Kevin Peoples is older than those guys. So there's a blend of, like, real youth that kind of grew up in the spread system or is accustomed to this NIL thing now because most of their coaching career they've dealt with it. Then you got some guys that have been around a little bit more, and Lane Kiffin talked about the blend of age and experience on his staff.
Yeah, I kind of over years have moved on that, and I think part of that is I think when I was younger, so young as a head coach, I tried to find a good balance of veteran coaches, because I thought that was important, especially with me being young. I think now that's kind of moved the other way and have more experience. I think I'm able to do that and have really young coaching staffs, and they've really been really young for a while now. And I think that's important. I think relationships with kids and ability to relate to them in college, I think that's really big. I think it usually helps in recruiting sometimes, but I think it really helps when the players are there and their ability to understand players and how they think nowadays. And I know probably every 10 years, every coach is going to say kids are different. We're all going to say that. Kids are changing and different, but I feel like they really have really changed how they think, how long they can pay attention. And so evolving in the way that we teach them is big, and I think younger people a lot of times are more open to that.
I'm going to paint with a broad brush here, and I'm putting that disclaimer out there. I'm going to paint with a broad brush here. It's not in every case, but I think just in the big picture, it would be very easy for a 59, 62-year-old coach, position coach, coordinator, who coached in a certain environment for 25, 30 years, where you could be demanding, where you were in control, where you kind of were a superior figure to the football players, and then all of a sudden it flips. There are guys out there making more money than the coaches. And you could resent that if you did it one way for 25, 30 years, and now you're doing it this way, where the players can just up and leave you. I'm gone. Coach me, I'm out of here. Yeah, I make more money than you. Older coaches could have a hard time with that. Charlie Weis, the transfer portal came into effect. Charlie Weis was like 28 years old. This is just what he knows. Young coaches are probably more accepting of the power shift in collegiate athletics than the old guys who have done it a certain way. That's not a right or wrong statement. It's just human nature. Change is tough on people. It's not really change for Charlie Weis. Blake Baker's adapted to that very, very well. He's young. Young coaches are more apt to be able to relate to young people and not to resent them for success early in life, because young coaches are having success early in life. And I think that's an important thing that Lane Kiffin's got on this staff, is a bunch of younger guys who can relate to players and won't necessarily maybe resent and create that toxic environment that maybe an old coach might. And we've seen a lot of coaches, head coaches and assistant coaches throughout sports in the collegiate ranks that have just quit because they don't want to deal with this stuff. I just don't think a 33-year-old's is prone to do that. Charlie Weis just says, how much is the quarterback making? Who cares? I'm making some cash. Let's go win some games. Charlie Weis is a big deal on this staff. His day will end in Baton Rouge, as will Blake Baker's. But for right now, having those two guys running those sides of the ball, I think is a very, very good thing for the Fighting Tigers. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll go to Luke Johnson in California in 15 minutes. More from Lane Kiffin next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team have had a lot of success in recent months and years talking about benefits with their clients. If you're a business owner, you are someone who deals with the numbers, with the benefits of your company, and y'all are getting squeezed, the Highland Insurance Group understands that. The Highland Insurance Group knows that bottom line takes a hit annually when you get those benefits put in place. But it's important when you're trying to make sure you're acquiring talent, when you're trying to make sure that you retain talent, to make sure that their health care is good, that their dental is good, their vision is good, they're taking care of their families. So if you need a second option for your group and employee benefits, the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you with that. Call Jonathan Carbo. They're here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. Say, look, I've been getting these renewals. I got another one coming up, or I just had one. I'm just uncomfortable with this. Can we take another look at another option? They're happy to do it. It's not a magic wand. They can't just wave it and save you 12%, but they can give you another option. And that's what the Highland Insurance Group has had success doing. They're online at HighlandIG.com. It's HighlandIG.com.
Every ounce of Raising Cane's lemonade has been hand-squeezed that day from fresh lemons before being served over our signature crushed ice. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Ford has 0% APR with no payments for 90 days and $1,000 down payment assistance on select 2026 Ford models.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here. We eat out here. We watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
As the lovely talking lady just told you, our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I just checked with Luke Johnson. He's out in California. Saints and Rams have wrapped, so we will have Luke coming up in 15 minutes. That is good news. You never know. Football teams, they're late all the time. However, I have noticed, because I've got a lot of experience with LSU, and I've never covered the Saints like day-to-day at practice, but I do work off of their schedule with the beat writers to try to get them on the show and whatnot. The NFL teams are on a better schedule than the college. College coaches, they're all over the place. They got way more guys to deal with over there. They just kind of, they're on their own clock. The NFL generally, professionally, is on task, which I enjoy. Les Miles did not make it to a press conference on time in 15 years. Just never happened. But it seems like the Saints, generally speaking, are on a pretty good clock. So we'll get to Luke coming up here in about 15 minutes. More sound from Lane Kiffin earlier today. I'm going to spend some more time, I should say, because we spent the last segment on Charlie Weiss, on the offense. And Kiffin talked about offensive line depth and what the concern level is there.
It's a concern and something that is high on our list of concerns right now. And so we've got to continue to get guys better. They got to improve, and so that we feel more confident with that. I mean, I guess before yesterday, normally we'd say our team is our team, and so it's what we got. But I guess that potentially changes yesterday. But other than that, we got to get the guys better.
And I think it's not a numbers thing. They have a lot of offensive linemen. That, to me, he's talking about we got to get our second team up to speed. And so you're talking about a front. I think Jordan Seaton's going to be okay. I know Braylon Moore can play. I think Aluba is just fine. Bo Bordelon has gotten nothing but rave reviews, and we'll see what Weston Davis becomes this year. That's something we'll all be watching, I know. But it's that next group. what is Devin Harper? He's never played in the SEC. High-level recruit. Guy Lane Kiffin thought enough of to bring from Ole Miss to LSU, but what is he? Do you know what you have in Sean Tompkins? He started left tackle for Georgia a little bit last year. Is William Satterwhite ready to play at the SEC level? He's been a backup center for 2 years at Tennessee. Darren Stray has been a backup at Kentucky. Jaquan Sprinkle has played a little bit at left guard as a backup. He's coming from a lower level. Bryson Martinez is a freshman. I don't know what you have in Solomon Thomas. Like, these are the names. They have people. I just don't know how good they are. And you hear Lane Kiffin say we got to get guys better. And so that leads me to just believe, reading the tea leaves here, that those guys have got to perform at a higher level. And they're a little bit concerned about what those guys have been early on in camp to this point. Staying on offense, he thinks that the offense group is improving, and he talked about Sam Levitt as a big part of that.
Our offense has started to improve. Sam has been awesome. He really has been. I don't say that very often, but he made 2 throws back-to-back today that, I call them adult throws that not many people in the country can make. So really pleased with him, and now we got to make more plays around him.
I will not be able to see a Sam Levitt adult throw with what they show us every 2 days. You don't see any adult throws, and there's no defense out there. I'll tell you, he's been very accurate on deep balls. I talked about it yesterday, and I would think he was more of the same today. And the arm strength is just fine, and the mobility looks good. I can't see Sam Levitt making adult throws because they don't put us out there with 7-on-7 or 11-on-11. But I do notice that Lane Kiffin's not too quick to heap praise on quarterbacks, and he mentioned that. I don't usually say that, but I do think Sam Levitt is coming along in a big way right now. I think he's had a really good camp. They were asked, have you learned anything about Sam Levitt?
I think going through spring where, he couldn't really push off and move around, that's hard to throw, and be in rhythm. And so, again, kind of one of those things, as much as I disliked it at the time, kind of has been awesome because it's like now you see all these things, so it's like they're new. We'd seen them on film, and then they were gone, and then they came back. And it's been great. He's doing a great job with Charlie and Dane and really seeing the field really well and getting us in and out of things. And so I'm excited to see him play. I just want to get everybody else making enough plays around him.
It just sounds good. That's all I got. Like, it sounds like Sam Levitt is commanding the team, is making throws, is leading the offense, and it sounds like the offense is getting a little bit better. I don't speak fluent Lane Kiffin yet. I don't know how he's going to treat teams. Les Miles pretty much always told us everything was great. Ed Ogeron was a little more candid than that. Would tell you when they had a bad practice, would tell you when the scrimmage needed to come along, would tell you when something wasn't quite there. He was a little bit, you could trust Ed Ogeron. And by the end, Brian Kelly was really candid. Like, you may love him, you may hate him, you may have loved him then, hate him now, but I'm just telling you, like, when I'm dealing with quotes from Brian Kelly, he was telling you pretty much the truth when you talk to him after a practice. He would say, yeah, today's practice was awful. Or, yeah, today looked really good. Or, yeah, we're caught up. We're up to speed on this transfer portal thing. Or, yeah, we've got a plan. Or, no, we didn't have a plan for this new name, image, and likeness. Like, he was pretty candid. I don't know how Lane Kiffin's going to treat that or not. But my guess is that a guy who's got an interest in the offense, that's his side of the ball, would be very critical of that side of the ball because he's looking at it and he demands perfection from it. And so for him to suggest that the offense is coming along, I think, if I'm reading tea leaves again on this, sounds pretty good to me. Now, running back is interesting. I have told you time and time again that I believe Dylan Jones to be the guy leading the charge. We know that Harlem Berry made a couple of big plays on Saturday, had a touchdown run that LSU put on Twitter. We know that Caden Durham has been LSU's lead back the last couple of years, and I figure those are the top 3 guys. But when you go out to practice and you watch the running backs go through drills, you will see Stacey Gage at times creep towards the front of that rotation. He's transferred from Central Florida. He's 5'10", about 205 pounds. Not the most physical guy in the world, but put together. And they've been watching him in camp, and finally Lane Kiffin was asked about him today.
Stacey's done really well. It's a good spot by you. He's had a really good camp, really done thing for not kind of a marquee name coming in. And that's how we do it. We just open it up and evaluate guys from scratch. regardless of what they've done before. So really pleased with him, and he's gotten reps to show that.
My sincere feeling on running back is that I'm comfortable suggesting Dylan Jones will be the starter, not confident. Comfortable, it's not a ridiculous take. It's very possible, but I can't put it in cement. I'm confident suggesting that Harlan Berry is going to be in that mix and is going to get touches. I talked about that this week. And I know that Caden Durham can take SEC carries. And what's becoming more evident to me as I've fleshed this out and watched them go through drills and listen to Kevin Smith talk, because we're pretty close to him, this is going to be a rotation. This is not going to be somebody getting 23 carries a game at LSU's backfield. It's just not. They are going to rotate these guys. And what's becoming apparent now is that Stacey Gage very well may be involved in that. I can't tell you if he's going to take carries away from Caden Durham or not right now. I don't see them go through 11-on-11 drills to know who's getting those reps, but I can watch who's going through drills first, and Stacey Gage is getting some reps, and Lane Kiffin acknowledged when that question was asked, good spot by you, yes, he's getting some reps. This is going to be a running back by rotation situation, and we'll see kind of how those carries shake out against Clemson. I'm very curious to see. Speaking of Clemson, when do they start prep for that? Because you've had camp where you're trying to get involved in who's getting better and who needs to play, and at some point you got to kind of flip things, and it can be gradual or it can be one day. You got to flip to, okay, Clemson's coming in here for an opener, and we got to get ready to play this game. And Lane Kiffin was asked about that.
Next week, and we go through a mock week really with mostly Clemson focus, especially being a bigger opponent than some that we've opened with over the years. And that will be really a mock week with a mock game, and go through all those, especially with a new team, from the hotel to Saturday mornings to everything to the band. So I think we got everything on there to make sure that when we run out there, on Saturday in Tiger Stadium, that outside of the fans, we've gone through everything else.
So I can go through this with a number of different coaches. One, with Les, with Ed, with BK, all of them treated this as camp, and then 2 weeks before the game flipped it to, okay, now we're in prep. We're kind of in a 2-week prep for the game. That's when school starts. That's when they've all flipped that switch. That's very, very common for coaches at LSU. Now, when it comes down to from the hotel to the band to everything that goes into a game prep, that reminds me of Paul Maneri. Paul Maneri would have the guys practice in their uniforms the weekend before the first series. He would have the national anthem played. They would do the walkout songs. They would prepare for everything for that first game, so it wasn't the first time you saw it. Because so many guys on this team will be playing a game for the first time at LSU in that game against Clemson. And you don't want anything to be – you want everything to have a routine feel to it. Now, you're not going to be in a routine after doing it once, but that's something that Paul Maneri took very seriously, and I'm interested to know that Lane Kiffin kind of feels the same way. So they'll get on the buses, and I'm sure they'll have the band out there, and they'll make sure that these guys are not doing things for the first time so their eyes are falling out of their head when Clemson's coming out of the other tunnel. I think that's interesting, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Texting with Luke Johnson. We're ready to rock from California. Luke's watched both practices with the Cowboys earlier this week and the Rams today. We'll get a full report on all things Saints in California next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. The website's awesome, y'all. It's so functional. It's so easy to use. You want a new vehicle? Sort the inventory by new. You want a pre-owned vehicle? They've got them to meet every budget. Sort them by pre-owned. If you're not sure if you can afford a new or feel like the pre-owned has less mileage on it that you are appreciative of, well, sort by that. Sort by the mileage. Sort by the price. New ones may pop up in there. Pre-owned may pop up in there. You just know what kind of car you want, the make and model. Sort by that. You'll see every piece of inventory that meets your qualifications and your descriptions right there on the website, because the entire inventory on Highway 61 in St. Francisville is right there on the website. So check it out. Cars are coming in day by day, week by week. If you're looking for something specific, go by and see them on Highway 61. Say, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Let them help you. Let their customer service team, their incredibly helpful sales team, assist you in getting you into the car that you're looking for. It's a great time to buy a truck. They got incredible deals on Silverados, incredible deals on Sierras. And you're always going to have an amazing buying experience at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. And as always, you can find them at FabryChevrolet.com.
Lock Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades. But our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs, and lost income. Life can be turned upside down. At Lock Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we'll work to turn your world right side up. Hire us, and like thousands of our clients, you'll be glad you did.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new Ram 1500 truck on our lot now with $22,000 off MSRP.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
When a capital project moves from planning to execution, downtime isn't an option. Who do you trust to deliver? River Parish Contractors has more than 500 employees, dedicated safety, quality, and project management teams, and 9 full-time estimators backed by a 36,000 square foot automated pipe and structural steel fabrication facility. We can deliver multi-million-dollar industrial construction projects on time and safely, locally owned and headquartered.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, working towards the weekend. Let's talk some Saints. Luke Johnson out in what I'm just going to assume is sunny California currently with gorgeous weather and a little bit of football in front of him. Good enough to give us some times on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Do you feel like, I want to talk about the Rams practice for in a big way because that was today, but just you were watching when they played the Cowboys back on Tuesday, I guess it was. Your thoughts on the level of work they got in around all the melees they got into?
You know, honestly, I feel like they ended up getting a ton of work through that. It was just like, at various points throughout that practice, I was like, they got to stop this, right? Because it felt like every other play there was going to be some big fight breaking out with. I mean, we're talking about like entire units going up against each other, offense and defense, just melees. I like the lasting image from that. I don't know if it's Brock Rechsteiner, the son of the WWE Hall of Famer Scott Steiner, suplexing a guy, or if it was Eric McCoy ripping off somebody's helmet and tossing it about 20 yards. But I mean, it was just nonstop. But in between, they actually got together and ran some plays. I was watching on the offensive side of the ball. I thought they had a really nice day. like the connection between Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave, like I thought it kind of got off to a slow start in training camp, but those guys look really, really good against what should be a pretty good defense. I mean, I think it was good enough to where they just sat Chris Olave for today's practice. And I felt like they didn't think they needed to see what he could do. And they got some other guys work. So, it was good stuff. And I was talking to Scott Tolzien, the quarterback's coach, after practice today, and he said something that I hadn't really thought of, and that was just like he was impressed by the team, like when they were getting in that sort of what he called a hostile environment, understatement. They didn't get rattled. It was just right back and operating the offense on the next play without like kind of making these mental errors because you're all fired up. So all in all, I mean, you never want to see that stuff in a joint practice, but I think they actually got some good stuff out of it.
Yeah, definitely something you can't really recreate in your own practice. You got to have somebody that's an opponent across from you to get that kind of juice. All right, I don't know anything about what went on today. I've been on the air for virtually all of it, including the press conferences. So just kind of set the scene for us against the Rams today. We know that the Saints did battle against one of the better teams in the NFL. How'd it go?
Yeah, so I watched the defensive side of the ball today, and I came away from today, thinking that over the body of work training camp, like I know the Saints are going to be a good defense, but they're not going to be a great defense. So at least if you're basing it off of what you saw today, I think the Rams are going to be really, really freaking good this year, man. And they just kind of had their way with the Saints defense. Stafford just like over and over and over again peppering Devontae Adams, vacuuming every single ball that went his way. And then it's like he got bored with it, and then he just started throwing to his tight end. It was just – and Puka Nacua wasn't even out there today. Okay. And obviously the Saints had some guys missing. They didn't have Quincy Riley today. They gave Caden Ellis a rest day. So they didn't have like their full force out there. But I just thought that they looked a little overmatched on defense today, and that's going to happen against really, really good offenses. But it's probably the first time that I've just like watched the defense in competitive drills where I just felt like they were easily not the best unit on the field during this training camp. And then talking to my colleague Matt Paris, who's driving the car right now, he says hi. He thought that the offense looked really good against a really good Rams defense. There was some pass rush breakdowns, which you're going to expect against this unit in particular. But they didn't have Chris Olave out there, and Tyler Shuck was looking really poised. Hit a couple of scoring strikes to Bryce Lance, who I think has really been coming on in the last week or so of training camp. And I think that's been the most encouraging part of these joint practices. It's like I think last week I was on your show saying like they hadn't really looked like the unit we all expected yet, and then they go up against the Jaguars. They look really good. I thought they looked really good against the Cowboys, and then putting together another good performance today. I mean, that's really encouraging because it really wasn't there to that level those first couple weeks of camp, and you're seeing them kind of build on that.
I'm curious, let's go back to the defense, what you watched. How big a deal is this Quincy Riley injury, and like what's behind them? I know that Emerson's going to step in immediately, but do they have any depth behind that?
Not really. They had their third team corners both had picks today, but it was really just a terrible throws by Ty Simpson. Okay. They've got right now their third team corners are rookie TJ Hall, who I think he's got an uphill battle to make the team, and Dallas Beenum, who was on the practice squad last year. I think I would feel not great if he was thrown into an NFL game, I think depth it's better than what I thought going into camp. I think Emerson's coming on really strongly. He's earned like the starter reps while Quincy's out. But I mean, they are still they have issues there in that defensive secondary beyond the top two guys, top three if you want to count Jonas Sanker. Even though we've seen some nice things out of their backups, I just think that it would worry me if one of those two guys, those two main guys on the outside, Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley, like suffered anything that causes them to miss serious time. I think Quincy sounds like he's going to be back for the start of the regular season, but these reps are important in training camp and joint practices and stuff.
Luke Johnson's our guest, Saints beat reporter for The Advocate, NOLA.com. A lot of positive reports throughout the last month about Christian Miller and Vernon Broughton on the defensive front. Did you see anything from them today?
Yeah, I thought Broughton had a couple nice rushes today. I think he's going to give them a little bit more juice than maybe even Brzee did last year, just as a rusher from that kind of 3-4 end position. Christian Miller, like what I've seen from him, I've liked, but we just haven't seen very much. He didn't practice today. He was dealing with a shoulder thing again that he kind of re-aggravated in that preseason game. When he's been on the field, I think he's shown some nice things, especially as a run defender. But it's been hard to see him on the field so far. He's just kind of dealing with these nagging injuries. So hopefully this is something that kind of clears up, because I think just from a juice standpoint, like he could really add something to that defense. He's a big, strong guy. He plays with like high motor. So I'm hopeful that we'll see more of him, but it's just like it's kind of picture's incomplete at this moment.
All right, we got a preseason game coming up. Who is going to be dressed and playing running back this weekend? I can't keep up with that. So can you lend a little bit of clarity to that?
Well, look, they've had Kendre Miller and Devin Neal both return to practice this week, and obviously that's huge when you got two guys who were ahead of them on the depth chart, both nursing injuries. Audric Estime's not going to play, and obviously Alvin Kamara is going to miss a pretty significant chunk of time here. So it's really big for both Neal and Miller to get back in the mix here and get some live game reps, because I think Kendre Miller, like the question of talent is it's never been a question. Everybody knows he's a really, really talented, explosive player. It's just, can he stay on the field? I mean, he's got to show it, and I think he's got to have a big closed training camp to make the roster. And Devin Neal has played more, and I think we've seen some really nice stuff out of him too, especially just as his vision, finding these cutback lanes. I think that's kind of been a theme throughout this training camp for the Saints is these running backs exploiting cutback lanes, and Neal's had a couple of really nice runs doing that. So I'm really excited to see those guys play on Saturday against the Rams. And I think they're going to get a lot of work, because it's going to be those two, and then it's going to be Ty Chandler and C.J. Donaldson, the undrafted rookie out of Ohio State. And those two guys, those last two, if they're going to make the team, it's going to be special teams or something going terribly wrong in front of them on the depth chart. And really, it's kind of down between Kendre and Devin Neal, and are they going to get a roster spot right now? Because I thought Estime was doing some really, really nice things before he injured his ankle against the Jaguars last week.
And last one, appreciate your time. How important is this game in the next week or so for Spencer Rattler and Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. I think clearly Zach Wilson outplayed him last week. Yeah, no question about it. Spencer was efficient when he threw the ball. He completed 8 out of 11, but everything was between 3 and 9 yards. I think he averaged 3.8 yards per attempt, and you saw Zach Wilson come in and kind of push the ball vertically. You saw the talent. You start to wonder, okay, if you put a number 2 overall pick, who's had serious issues as an NFL quarterback in an extremely quarterback-friendly offense, maybe they can get a lot more out of him than what we've seen out of him as a pro so far. And you start to wonder if maybe he's really the better option as a number. So I think you only get 3 data points in the preseason. You have a ton of training camp practice film to pour through, but 3 really live action reps, live pass rush. I think these are super important to figure out who's going to be the guy. And if it's not going to be Spencer, what do you do with him? Do you keep him on the roster? Do you try to trade him? I don't think he's going to clear waivers if you decide to cut him. So, I think it's a really big decision they got coming up. And Kellen Moore said today that he's not going to. He didn't have an answer on who's going to start the game at quarterback because it won't be Tyler Shuck. We know that.
Right. Interesting stuff. We all enjoy California. Safe travels back. We'll talk next week, Luke.
Sounds good, buddy. See ya.
Luke Johnson with NOLA.com and The Advocate out there with the black and gold. Great report there. Sounds like the Saints offense has had a really good go over there in California. Defense struggle with the Hall of Famer today. It happens. Come back and close out the show. I'll tell you this. Greg Sankey's issued a statement on Monday's hearing with R.J. Lewis. Didn't exactly come to LSU's back. We'll close with that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust. I'm headed down the bayou. Speak to the Golden Tigers down there in Thibodaux this evening, and I'm sure I'll pass multiple First American Bank and Trust branches because there's 25 of them down here in Southeast Louisiana. They've been growing over the course of 116 years. If you want a local bank for your commercial loan, for your personal loan, you go with First American Bank and Trust. When you call First American Bank and Trust, you get Southeast Louisiana. When a decision is made on a loan at First American Bank and Trust, it's made in Southeast Louisiana. That's the beauty of banking local. And don't suggest that local means small. 25 locations suggests otherwise. They've got the resources to help you out. So if you're looking for a commercial loan or a personal loan, you want that local and community feel with your bank, First American Bank and Trust. 25 locations in Southeast Louisiana. They're also online at FABT.com.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
Bayou Ford has 0% APR with no payments for 90 days and $1,000 down payment assistance on select 2026 Ford models.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Every Raising Cane's chicken finger is marinated, battered by hand, and cooked to order to perfection. We don't have heat lamps, because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Investing in a new roof doesn't have to be overwhelming. At Pelican Roofing, we offer 0 interest for 21 months because everyone deserves a safe, secure home. Trusted, local, affordable. Pelican Roofing, making quality roofing affordable for South Louisiana families.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Our friends at Auctioner want you to get back to school happy, healthy, and safe. They're reminding parents that success in the classroom starts with overall wellness. Nutrition plays a huge role, and Auctioner recommends packing balanced lunches. Got protein, got fruits, veggies, whole grains, and get kids involved in meal planning so that healthy choices are more appealing. If you've got a student athlete in your home, make sure that student athlete is prepared with an annual sports physical, proper hydration every single day, stretching, rest, and the right protective equipment. Sports are great. They can help reduce stress, build confidence, and improve social skills. It's a great way for kids to stay active and engaged throughout the school year. If you're looking for tips on helping your family start the school year healthy, safe, and ready to succeed, visit auctioner.org/BR. That's auctioner.org/BR. Quickly here, Greg Sankey has issued an affidavit in regard to the R.J. Lewis hearing, which we will hear on Monday here in Baton Rouge in a courthouse. And one of the quotes is, permitting former professional athletes to return to competition creates a competitive disadvantage and fundamental unfairness to the current student athletes who have not pursued a professional sports career. Instead, have maintained their commitment to the collegiate athletics model. He continues on and says, these rules are grounded in the principle that athletics are an integral part of the academic experience. The rules align with the time permitted for college athletics with the pursuit of an undergraduate education and further the important purpose of preserving opportunities for the future student athletes to participate in college sports. Essentially, in a nutshell, he says that you can't let R.J. Lewis, who's signed with 2 NBA basketball teams on 2-way deals, come back and play college sports. So Greg Sankey has drawn his line in the sand. He did so with Charles Bediako. This is not a Will Wade thing, I promise you. He did the same thing with Charles Bediako. So this is a deal where this is a fundamental belief that he has, and I align with Greg Sankey. I, once again, do not blame Will Wade for trying this. I don't blame Will Wade for trying this. I just don't feel like R.J. Lewis has a good case. That's my opinion. I promise you this. If he puts on purple and gold that first week in November and he's out there in February playing Kentucky, I'm going to pull for R.J. Lewis to get buckets. I'm not in charge of the eligibility. Neither is Greg Sankey. But I just don't believe R.J. Lewis has a good case to be eligible. When you forego your eligibility, sign with 2 teams, go through a year away, I just think you've given your collegiate eligibility up. Not my decision, though. We'll see on Monday if he gets it back. But the commissioner's drawing his line in the sand. Like it, don't like it. It is what it is. And we'll see what happens on Monday, and we'll see if we get any finality. I think either way it goes, an appeal is probably going to come. So we'll see. One more order of business. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Cup Noodles has teamed up with a kitchen appliance brand called Dash to launch a limited edition $70 dorm survival kit. Aimed at college students heading back to campus, the Cup Noodles X Dash dorm survival kit includes a 6-pack of chicken-flavored cup noodles, a Dash insulated electric kettle, and a Dash rapid egg cooker. So, good price dorm survival kit. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I'll tell you this. I was a broke college kid, I promise you, and I was cutting every corner you could cut.
Yeah.
I never eat a bowl of ramen noodles. I never have. I never had ramen. I never had ramen.
Hunt, I damn near lived off ramen at one point in time.
I'll wear out the dollar menu, which used to exist at every fast food place.
Hot and spicy, baby.
Look, I had a friend that brought slices of cheese to Dollar Burger Nights because the cheese was 25 cents. I had a friend that went to Mr. Gaddy's and brought Tupperware, empty Tupperware in a backpack, which is completely against the rules. I've seen it all done, and I've been there. I never had a bowl of ramen. It never happened.
Oh my goodness. All right. So James Harden is on track to become the 4th player in NBA history to make more than $500 million in career earnings. Harden just agreed to a 3-year, $97 $97 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That brings Harden career earnings to a total of $511 million, just below LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and James Harden right there at number 4. So is James Harden an all-time bag chaser? Take it or leave it.
And he's one of the better players in terms of statistics in the history of the sport. You're signing this 36-year-old to a 3-year deal. That's a bad idea.
Yes,
terrible idea. Where are the people in the front office going, we don't really need to pay him this much money when he's 39?
Well, it's the Cavs. You know how they
Awful idea. I don't even care about the career earnings. I care about his age. It's ridiculous. Terrible idea.
Oh, you're going to love this one. So Oklahoma and coach Brent Venables have agreed to a new 6-year contract that averages $10.5 million a year. It adds 2 years to the current deal and goes through 2031. Venables just led Oklahoma to the 25 college, playoffs and whatnot.
Yep.
So Oklahoma locking in their coach. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. It's a bad. I mean, I got to see what the buyout language says, but
Yeah.
nobody's trying to hire Brent Venables.
Nope.
I mean, he was on his way out if last year doesn't go well. And they saved it. They won 2 huge games. They won in Knoxville and they won in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
And if he loses both of those games, which he won them, but if he loses both those games, he's probably fired. And so we're going from fired to extension when no one wants to hire. It's like when LSU dumped a huge bag on Ed Ogeron. No one's trying to hire Ed Ogeron. Don't put yourself in a bad buyout situation. So maybe they kept the buyout manageable, but there was no reason to extend Brent Venables at all.
So that's it for take it or leave it.
All right. That's it for us today. It's been a busy day. Open the show talking about LSU's football program potentially chasing these fifth-year seniors who are coming out of NFL training camps. I gave my thoughts on that. Saints camp, I don't like Quincy Riley's injury at all. I talked about that. Luke Johnson joined us from California. You can catch those at Hunt on Saints. LSU football practice report, you can find that at Hunt on LSU. And you can catch the whole show on demand at Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Our Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. They're the best. If you're looking for the best in beef, check out Sagrera Farms. I'm out tomorrow. I'm going to go see the Goo Goo Dolls at the beach. Enjoy a beach day on Saturday and be back and ready to roll come Monday. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. I'm back Monday. Taylor's here tomorrow for a Friday edition of Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Let me remind you about Marucci, though. Football, right? We're all football right now, but Marucci's all baseball all the time. And if you've got a youth baseball player or softball player that's all baseball or all softball all the time, well, go buy Marucci. Become a member of the Hitter's House. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Marucci got the Hitter's House open. You get the key card access. You want to go take some swings? You can do it. Lunchtime, nighttime, Saturday, whenever. Marucci will allow you in that Hitter's House to take some swings and work on your baseball or softball game all year round. And also, they got tours. If you want to learn how Marucci went from a backyard shed in Baton Rouge to the official bat of Major League Baseball, you can go learn that story and see where they're making 1,200 of them every single day to send to the best players in the world. Marucci is such a gem here in Baton Rouge. It's such a cool place to go take a tour, an awesome resource to work on your game. It's all there at Marucci. Check them out online at maruccisports.com. It's all there at Marucci.